Oh, revealing John's truthful words. This is part 20, and I'm going to start at chapter 12, verse 18. I left off at the prophecy of Jesus coming into Jerusalem, seated on a young donkey. And then he's also with Lazarus. And like I said, Lazarus must have been walking beside him for people to be asking, who is he? And then they were bearing witness that he is Jesus' friend. Now, here, a lot of the text is going to be disappearing. And let's see here. Now, why I'm getting rid of this verse here is they heard he had performed this sign. Well, it doesn't talk about the sign here, but it does talk about Lazarus, and we'd have to know the story. And a multiple went out to meet him. Well, I'm not sure about that because you got to understand that the people there were starting to follow him earlier in Bethany or Bethpage. And as he was coming in, the crowd got bigger. So it's only like about a half mile, I think, or something like that to, or maybe it's about a mile for Bethpage to the gates of Jerusalem. So there wasn't a lot of time for these people to run out and then run back in or whatever. They went out to meet him because they heard not so much that he was already known. They had been there a while. You got to understand that, oh, excuse me on the eyeball here, but you got to understand that there's got to be 30,000 people minimum there at Jerusalem, and they're camped around Jerusalem. So they would have heard him in all the tribes on the east side of Jerusalem and probably the north and south started hearing this activity and started following with him. Our priests said to one another, and I'm using the word priests instead of Pharisees because Jesus told us what a Pharisee is. There's a video below, but there's some verses that they like to sit in the seat of Moses, and that is judges. So Pharisees are truly judges. But it would have been our priests that would have been right there at the entrance that would have seen people going out to him. They were praises. See if it's up here. Yeah, they went out to greet him here. This means that they were coming out of Jerusalem as well. So this, what I'm talking about, the priests here, they would have been by the gate because you have the gate entrance to Jerusalem. Then you would have had the house for meeting with our Creator, and then it would have been these priests with their wives and children, and the attendant priests as well. So they would have all been living nearby. So this activity of him coming in to Jerusalem and seeing all these people, why are we not seeing many going to him? It's just going to be a verse stuck out here in the middle of nowhere. So, like I said in the last video, this text, when all the truthful verses are put together in order, or the truths of these verses that are put in order, sometimes I'm going to have verses just stuck out here in the middle, might not mean nothing until I move them to another place. Example, here, there were certain Greeks that went up to worship at the feast. Well, worshiping our Creator is the act that you do when you're talking to our Creator. it's the temple that pagans had that they went and worshiped before a false idol. That didn't happen with Israelis or Hebrew descendants. So the thing here is they don't worship at the feast, and it's not a feast; it's a celebration. And they went and asked Philip, who was from Bethsaida of Galilee. Now here they're using the word Galilee as um, a region. Let me see here. These are the regions that they had divided up at the time. Well, at first it was all one, and then when I would believe that when I named him Jared, not Herod, because there's two Herods. He killed all the children 2 years and younger in Bethlehem. So it probably made Rome turn around and set these three regions up. But I've renamed them. This is what they were calling Galilee. If we stick to the text, and if we're true Israelis writing, we don't change um, meanings for secular world. So the thing here is this is the promised land on this side, and since they named it something with an I named it Jordan, and that way everybody knows it's east of the Jordan River. And this used to be, or they labeled it Judea, and I've named it Judah. And then that way, we have an understanding of the text. But they come to him and ask him, "Sir, we wish to see Jesus." Now, the thing here is this story doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't tell them what's going on, even though they came and told Jesus the story here. Jesus isn't talking about that. In fact, it's a parable stuck here in the middle of anywhere because it doesn't really have the text before it that's truthful. I mean, we don't have much text. We have just this verse here, and they were going out to meet him. So I am removing that story there. But Jesus said, "My hours are coming for your Son, for man, to be glorified by YHVH." Now you can see I've added the words by YHVH because he's the only one who can glorify. Now, I'm not using the word as secular. All the words I'm using are can be found in the Hebrew text. Some of it can be found in the Greek text, but the object is that the words, you have to get the definition from those words. You can't go to a secular world and expect that word to be truthful inside the text you're seeing. So when I got the word here, for man, this is talking about Jesus going to be coming, because he's talking about for man, not from man, but for man of all the earth, so they can come into heaven. So this is the meaning I have stuck here, for man, not from man. But for a Trinitarian to say, okay, what's going on here with this, I'm going to note this. Because here Jesus is saying from man, and we know that our Creator's definition of the word man is he made man, male and female. So here Jesus is saying son from man, not the virgin birth. But the object here is this, he's talking about a parable, and I don't need these words here, but I'm changing the words unless, like a grain of wheat when falling to the land is like dying. This would mean that, because not into the earth, they had into the earth, but what happens if you just let wheat grow, there's many grains at the end of the stalk. So he's talking about one grain of wheat. When wheat has like 3 growing seasons within a summer, I believe. And what it does is grows fast, and then dies by just turning brown and then laying over, and then the next harvest or the seeds that are laying there will regrow again. So Jesus is comparing, uh, by us knowing about his crucifixion, that by him dying is going to be like him dying, is referring to this grain of wheat, or him being like a grain of wheat, and it'll bear more grains in life, meaning that more people will believe in Jesus, and the more people believe in Jesus, it is referring to Jesus having fulfilled and been glorified by our Creator for obeying his command to die on the cross, follow all the commandments, laws, and statutes, and he became the only one our Creator would accept as being their King in heaven, and then he could allow us into heaven. You have to understand our Creator's everlasting promises. It starts out like a covenant, but it's actually promises over time with different males from Hebrew that from the Hebrews that end up um, this promise is about entering into heaven. So if you don't know all the promises that he's given throughout time, then you really don't know why you're entering heaven. But that's what this is about here. And then it's like this verse here, this is just something stupid that Jesus would not say. He who loves his life loses it. I don't understand. If he loves his life, he loses it. Like he can't save himself. It's And then anyways, he who hates his life, this world will keep it, and life eternal. Your soul lives on forever, so you can't lose it. And he who hates it, this world will keep it. No, you don't keep it. The object is that is you. You are like our Creator in his image. You are, you exist, you is, okay, forever. So for eternal life, that's already understood by us knowing we have a soul. Those who don't believe we have a soul would write something like this. All right. Anyone serves me, I have changed it to obeying me, because it's Jesus is teaching us many things about his kingdom. So you have to obey what he is saying. And most of the time he is saying, obey our Creator. And that's by obeying him. And it says, let him follow me. Well, this includes the women, and just get rid of that and say, well, believe in me, not follow me, but believe in me. Not because if you're following Jesus, you can't become a king, a savior, the one who allows you into heaven. So that being said, it's just that it has to be believe me. And where I go, not where I am, where I go, because he's talking about going to heaven. This world is the physical world, okay? And there's a location, or in the description box below is where heaven is located, which is another dimension of space and time. And then the abyss that is starts out as our understanding is beneath or inside the ground of the earth, is where the abyss is, and that's where all the souls um, before Christ or before Jesus came, all souls went to the abyss, evil and good. And then our Creators come along and said in his promises, you will have a king in heaven, and he will save you from down here and redeem you for you to enter into heaven, or by forgiving you. So, like now that Jesus has ascended into heaven, his kingdom is established. You have to understand that there is nobody here on earth that can forgive you or say your sins are forgiven if you say this many times or that many times. That's just baloney or false. It doesn't. It's it's a mixed up, made up, whatever. Okay, but it's turns out to be all untrue. But the object here is that where Jesus says he goes, there will be your servants. So this heaven is another dimension of time and space that I want to make sure that you understand. And everyone obeying me, that serves me, but obeying me, their Father will forgive them. Jesus is assigned as the one who our Creator has now allowed him to forgive, because he knows he follows our Creator and makes sure he does not err in our Creator's judgments, and our Creator has given him the right of our Creator's forgiveness to enter into heaven. And now, from now on, I am, not my soul, I am distressed, not become troubled, but he's in a distress because he knows the days are closing for his crucifixion. So, or approaching for his crucifixion. So it has to be, he is distressed about this. You could use another word, but troubled, no. Let me see what they got here in 27. You have troubled, and I bring it up to here. Disturbed, frightened, stirred up, troubled 9 times. Well, I don't like any of those words. Distressed is more of a truthful word than troubled. That's because our vocabulary is a little bit larger. Maybe troubled was all they had back then. When you're looking for at the Hebrew text, I guess there's only something like 20,000 words that we can say that are in there, where today we use something like 40,000 words. So I'm liking the word distressed more than I am troubled. Disturbed. I'm not sure disturbed would be, because I'm looking down at the chart there. They got disturbed once, disturbing twice. I don't see that either to be put here. Yet, what will I say to our Father? Save me from those hours, not this hour, but those hours, because crucifixion takes a while. Okay, we're going to find out how many hours from he starts getting punished and beaten until he finally his body dies on the cross. Because Jesus is telling us, for this purpose I was sent. And here, not came, but sent. It's an order from our Creator to come and do what is asked him, because he already knows that Jesus is already obeying him. Now, I also have to say that this goes with other texts that Jesus could have, when I'm referring to this, I don't know where the text is, but I'm sure when I put it together, I will be able to tell you there that Jesus gives us words that he was around before the earth was created, which means our Creator had made angels first before he made the physical world. And so what I'm seeing in the text is Jesus was his first being that he created like himself. And Jesus is now faltered from being uh, as closest to our Creator and always obeying him the most. Okay? That text is there, and I can show that. But when it says, for this purpose I was sent, you have to understand that he knew way back then what was going to happen. Okay? Because you also have to understand that the, let's see, it's like earth was made and Satan gets the domain of it. Okay? And all the kingdoms that he creates and stuff like that are all the beings that are going to be with Satan at the end. And it seems like we don't have a text about Satan having this arrangement with our Creator. But our Creator has also said, those that do not believe in you or of your way and by themselves have their own will that says that that I exist, the Creator exists, they will be given to whom I choose. And then Jesus was the one he chose. And then it goes on to say, for those hours, our Father will establish my name, not thy name. We're not establishing our Creator. Our Creator can do anything, but it's glorifying Jesus by establishing Jesus' name. This is the word glory that I was pointing to before. Here it is here. But I will both honor you and I will establish you as their king. So when I put this here, I needed the word then. His voice came from heaven. I have both, or I will both. It says glorify and glorify it again. Let me show you that text because here we're calling Jesus or this glory it again. Look, this is not working. This is not good. Well, down here, it says, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. Who are we talking about? Jesus. So I will glorify, Father, glorify thy name, but that's not what it is. He's talking about the glory that our Creator is going to give him from the above text. And there came a voice, and there came therefore a voice out of heaven. They just couldn't say what I said here earlier. And I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. See, our Creator is speaking about Jesus being glorified here, and he's going to do it again. But what I did was I got rid of the again by saying, I will both honor you because he's Jesus is going to be honored by becoming their king, but he is honoring him now because he's doing these healings and raising people from the dead. That is honoring Jesus, that he's able to do these things that, like he said, our Creator he has seen our Creator do, and therefore he can do them as well. And I will establish you again. or establish you as their king. Now I'm adding this as their king, but when it says, I will glorify you and glorify it again, that doesn't make any sense. We have Jesus being called an it and it again. So I forgot to turn the lights on, so that anyways. So this is what the text will look like, and it reads more truthful than what is actually being said by the text that you read in your Bible. And I don't know why. I don't know what's going on with this program. Well, I'm going to turn this off, but I hope I don't need it. I most likely will. But here I'm changing the multitude to the word crowd around him. Heard it. Now here we have the word it being referred to his voice. So when I say that the Bible has got what I call it's a blasphemy because you're cursing against our Creator by not giving him any honor and respect. And it's trying to turn this computer on. Seems to log. I don't know what it's doing. I'd have to take that in and get it looked at. Heard his voice. Some were saying it was thunder. Others were saying an angel has spoken. Well, the only thing is our Creator, when he's speaking, you'll see that I've got the text in purple. Well, this is Jesus talking about him. Oh no, his voice came from heaven. I will both honor you. So we know who it is. It's not an angel going to be doing any of this. And he told them, and Jesus would not say this voice. He would be saying his voice, came or me, and you. When his voice came, he was, because you got to realize what Jesus is talking about here. Now remember, this story just starts out somewhere out of the blue. Man, is that thing screwed up? Oh, you try to get everything set up and then pay for everything, and then it screws up. You got to take it in for another look. See, why is it doing it? It won't do what it's supposed to do. Because I surely don't know what a virtual machine does or why it does what it does. Now his judgment will come, because Jesus is still talking to you, to those people that heard, will come, and I've got to say I added that word, for the people on earth. That's like this judgment that's being mentioned here is that he will now replace all priests and people from every kingdom will now be able to enter into heaven through Jesus. And then it says, and now Satan's servants of this world will be separated from mine. Now, just a second here. See, I want to use that screen right now, but I can't use it at all. And what I'm doing here is it says, now the ruler of this world. Now, the thing here is um, we know who the ruler is, and it's Satan. But it's his servants that also help him rule over people. And this is why I'm using Satan's servants. And then it will be not cast out, they'll be separated from his. Okay? And that's because we know what Jesus means when he talks about the second coming. So, this text here, not that I will be lifted up, I will be ascending to heaven. Okay? And that's not if. Jesus knows not if. He's going to. For I will ascend to heaven, because that's what our Creator told him. That when his body dies, he enters into heaven to have his kingdom. To judge, not draw, but to judge all man. That's what I was saying. Male and female from all nations or all kingdoms. And ascend to heaven to judge all man from there. So that when you die here, you're then told whether you're going to ascend into heaven or into the abyss until judgment day. And he said this indicating the kind of death which he is to die. No, that is not what's being said here. So that is just a false statement. But from the crowd was said, not the crowd before, therefore answered, but see, it would have been the multitude, therefore answered him. We have heard out of his laws, but it's actually prophecies that are Christ, and they're using the word Christ wrong. It's king, because king is supposed to rule us forever, remain forever. No, not remain forever, but have his kingdom in heaven. Now, this is where it gets me mad that when people read the Bible and they don't think there's any words that there's not a word that's wrong in the Bible, that they just think every word is true. How can a statement like this even be said? Because if they understand the word Christ is a title given to him after he ascends into heaven, because he's obeying our Creator. Now, I think it's Peter that Jesus kind of goes through and kind of like has our Creator give him the word Christ as his answers. He is the one, he's the king, but he's also the king that's going to suffer and die. And not knowing how, but he is to suffer and die according to Isaiah. But it's this title that wasn't given at that time is given to him by our Creator through Peter. So the word Christ just can't be used by any sentence or any verse out there. It has to relate to the title and what the title means. So it has to be King will rule us forever, in heaven, those in heaven. Now you are saying you are the Son for all man, and that you must not be lifted up, ascend to heaven, and you will ascend to heaven. Well, where else is his kingdom at if it isn't in heaven? So you have to add these words. Now here, who is this Son from man? Now, here I don't think it's going to go through and answer that question. No, because we know it's David's son who was promised a kingdom in heaven. Then later, our Creator's promises, and Jesus tells us these things, that he is for all man, because he now has followed our Creator's words perfectly and has been given the right to select who enters into heaven to be with Jesus. Even though our Creator is going to be in heaven with us, or us will be with him, but we are going to be subject to Jesus. Okay. Now, so these words "be lifted up" is just nonsensical. It has to be ascend to heaven. Okay, let me go over here and play with this for a second. Restart this. Maybe that's turn it on and off by the button, and then it has to start window. So, okay. Can I get through this? No, I'm not going to, because I've got to explain where is the answer to this story. So sometimes the text does do that. And just like I said, the power will send into him, judge all men. And then the next paragraph will start here. So there's a space. But that's just something to show you that when the text goes together, I've started already dividing what's going on. But I think it's time to stop this one, even though it's not quite 40 minutes. This next text needs a little bit more explaining.